Thank you. I felt there was a strong production theme about technology and old versus new. For instance, Ruriko was always using matches and never a lighter, winding the clock by hand, boiling coffee with the butane burner. On the other hand, every time the radio was on, it was talking about cloning, the beehives falling apart, terrorist bombings. Do you think modern society was part of the reason for the situation of this couple, or was it intended to be symbolic, or could you discuss this?
Thank you.
いや、特にね、考えていません。
I hadn't thought about it specifically like that.
っていうのは、あなたがこう感じたことが全てで、僕の映画はね、なんかこう感じてほしいとか、こう理解してほしいとか、僕の中にこうあるテーマがあって、それをなんかこう絵にしたいとか全くないんです。私の映画は。
For my films, I don't have an idea, a set idea about how I want you to feel or how I want you to understand things or thematic things that I want to portray and communicate to you. That's what you felt and you experienced in watching this film. And when I make movies, I don't have an idea of something that I want all audience members to take away.
だから多分、映画に2つあるとしたら、日常の出来事を忘れたくて見るための映画。もう一つあるとしたら、日常の忙しさの中で忘れている何かを思い出させる映画だと思うんですけど、私の映画はこの暗闇の中でなんか普段忘れていたことをなんかふと思い出したり、そしてその思い出したことによって映画が終わった後に少し元気になったりすれば、私はもう私の映画の役目は終わりっていうぐらい、それさえできたらいいと思っています。
I think there's generally two kinds of films. One kind of film that people go to see because they want to forget their daily mundane lives. And another type of film that actually in the midst of your busy life helps you remember something you might have forgotten or lost in the hustle and bustle. And for my films, if there is something that you've forgotten about your life that you remember when you sit in the darkness and watch my films, and because of the fact that you remembered something that you might have lost previously, and that you get to take that home with you when the film is over, and that gives you some strength or happiness, that I think is the only mission of my films.
だからもしマッチはどうしてとか知りたかったら後で一緒に飲みに行きません。
But if you want to know, for example, specifically why a match, let's go out drinking later and we can talk about it.
いっぱい話します。
We can talk about it a lot.
Since we're getting into details all of a sudden, I have a question about the teddy bears. The teddy bears in the film, they're actually works of art in a way. I found that interesting. I really found it a very original idea. Can you tell us about the teddy bears?
じゃあちょっとここにこのテディベアはマルスという名前です。
This teddy bear's name is Mars.
でこの映画の、テディベアを作ってくれた市川和子先生の作品なんですけど、大丈夫ですか
？The artist who made the teddy bears in this film, her name is Kazuko Ichikawa, and she also made this bear.
正直言ってその市川先生に会うまで原作に書いてあるようなテディベア作家という人がどういう人なのかが 僕には全く分からなかったんで。
To be honest, when I first went to meet her, I really had no idea what to expect from meeting a teddy bear artist.
それで本当にプロデューサー皆さんと脚本家で撮影の石井さん、みんなで一つずつ先生の下でテディベアを作ることから始めたんです。
So the producers, the screenwriter, the DP, and myself, we all started the project by each making our own teddy bears.
もちろん、中谷さんも、もう人にあげられるぐらいいくつもなんか、テディベアを作ったりしました。
And of course, Miss Nakatani also made so many teddy bears. You could even gift her teddy bears to people.
でこれは、クランクイン撮影前に直前に市川先生からプレゼントしてもらったものです。
And this teddy bear is a gift I received from Miss Ichikawa before we started the shoot.
で3月に撮影が始まったので、もらった月が3月だったので、戦いの神様マルスと名付けたんですが、彼はすごく活躍してくれました。というのも、映画の現場はものすごい戦いの連続で、ものすごいプロデューサーと戦ったりしましたんで、ずっと撮影中彼をポケットに入れて撮影しました。
So we were shooting in March, and I received this bear then, and I named him after the god of war, Mars. And he worked really hard on the film. And when we were on location and shooting, it's really a continual series of battles. I had many, many fights with producers and battles with the producers. So I always kept this bear in my pocket while I was shooting this film.
だからご褒美にニューヨークに連れてきました。
And so to reward him for all his hard work on the film, I brought him on a trip to New York City.
Thank you very much for this truly magnificent and very sensitive film. And in particular, I'm sure many of us appreciate your remarks about how films can lead to a reflection on life, and also how they should be looked at as you would look at a painting, or maybe listen to a symphony of Mozart or Beethoven. And particularly on this point, I wonder if you could give us some of your insight with regard to pacing and rhythm. One thing that struck me in this film is the extraordinary rhythm. It changes, but this rhythm creates a whole atmosphere. And one aspect which I noticed about halfway through the film, hadn't been quite aware of this, there was very little music. And yet, it didn't seem as though there wasn't any music, because the music was precisely in the pacing, in the timing. In the visual music, so to speak. Could you give us some insight of your thinking? I'm sure you have given some thought to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
はい。そうですね。まず、この原作を読んでシナリオを読んで映画を作る前に、私がこの映画でなんかこうベースに置こうと思ったものは、死ということだったんですね。で、なんていうか分数でいうと死が分母でないとこの物語は成立しないなというふうに考えたんです。
Before making the film, after reading the original book and also the screenplay, I came up with the idea that I felt I needed a base for this film, and that base would be death. And if death was not in the denominator of the equation of this film, I felt that this story would not be able to stand.
それと同時に 孤独ということを少し考えてみたいなと思いました。
At the same time, I also wanted to think about loneliness.
それで、小さな別れを積み重ねようとしました。というのは、例えば玄関のドアや、電車のドアとかでまた明日会えるか夕方必ず戻ってくるっていうことが分かっていても、そのドアが閉じた瞬間に人がいなくなる。例えば同じベッドに寝ていても片方が先に起きると片方は抜け殻になっていて人がいない。その人がいなくなるっていうちっちゃな積み重ねがもしかしたら日常かなという、まずそんなことをしてみたいなというのがありました。
I also wanted to layer in a lot of small goodbyes, small parting. For example, when every time the front door closes or the train doors close, even if you know you're going to see the person again tomorrow or later that same day, each time the doors close, there's a small goodbye there. And even if two people are sharing a bed, if one person wakes up and leaves the bed first, then the other person is left with their absence and with the empty shell where they were. And so I wanted to think about layering together a bunch of small absences, small partings.
で、多分そんなことが僕の心の底の方にあったからかもしれないんですけど、登場人物の会話を全部独り言にしてみようと思ったんです。一見会話が成立しているように見えても全部独り言で撮ってみようと。
And I think I had these things deep in my heart when I thought about the film. And one thing I wanted to do was turn all the conversations between people actually into people talking to themselves. That it may look at first glance as if there's a conversation between people happening, but really everything someone says is something they're saying to themselves, as if they're alone.
そんなことがひょっとしたら少しリズムが、他の映画とのリズム、この映画独特のリズムになっているのかもしれません。
I think these things may have come together to create the unique rhythm in this film.
音楽に関して言いますと、僕は基本的に音楽を入れるつもりは全くなく、ないわけではなくただ編集をしている間中音楽を一切イメージしないで、絵をつなぐだけで、映画が成立するように編集をします。
And as for music, I never really, as a basic rule, think about sticking it in. And when I edit the film, I edit the film together with just the images so that it works without music.
なぜかというと、本当は多分音楽と映画っていうのは、多分すごい近い兄弟のような存在で、表現方法が多分すごくうまく使わないと喧嘩してしまうような気がします。
And the reason for that is that I think music and film are like very closely related, very close brothers. And if you don't use the two of them together really well, they'll get into a fight.
それと本来俳優の息遣いであったりすることが音楽になりうるはずだと考えているからです。
And also because I believe that the actors, how they breathe and how they move is can actually be the music for the film.
いいですかね。
Does that answer your question?
Thank you. These are good words to conclude tonight's screening. Please join me in thanking director Yazaki. And the teddy bear, Mars, who traveled all the way.